Okay, well, welcome everybody. Good evening. Tonight is our Black and Gullah voters listening session, the fourth episode in our summer 2025 listening sessions, a series of virtual roundtables which is intended to amplify the voices of our diverse communities here in Beaufort County. So tonight we're honored to spotlight a panel of local Black and Gullah voters and community leaders. My name is Kathleen Hughes, and I serve as chair of the Beaufort County Democratic Party. Now, South Carolina, and particularly Beaufort County, plays a significant role in national and state politics. Due to South Carolina's early presidential primary status, the presidential hopefuls are already visiting, and national media are attending our events to discuss the hopes and concerns of our local voters. Additionally, Beaufort County voters are crucial to winning Congressional District 1, the seat currently held by Congresswoman Nancy Mace. And our local candidates will soon be running to stop the GOP supermajority in the South Carolina State House. This political prominence makes you, the voters of Beaufort County, very important people. Through your voices and personal stories, the local and federal candidates, the campaigns and media will all be able to gain a better understanding of the needs of our communities. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce our moderator, Sue Yearwood. Sue has served several terms as the second vice chair of the Beaufort County Democratic Party and is based here in Okatee. Sue will lead panelists through a series of questions intended to highlight the concerns and needs of Beaufort's Black and Gullah communities and individuals in this moment. The questions have been provided to the panelists in advance, and the panelists are asked to keep responses to 2 to 3 minutes so that each panelist has an equal opportunity to speak. And finally, to our viewers who are not panelists, please remain muted at all times. If you would like to submit questions, please use the chat box, and Sue may address 1 or 2 questions at the end of our session if time remains. So, thank you once again. And with that, I will turn this over to Sue Yearwood.
Thank you. Good evening. I have to tell you, I'm just overjoyed to have this opportunity to participate in this discussion. My name is Sue Yearwood, and I'm originally from Chicago, but I've been living in Okatee for 21 years. So this is certainly home to me. We have a series of questions which have in fact been provided to you. I'm going to start. I will call on you to answer the question, but the first question will be a two-part question. And the first part is I'm going to say to please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you live and your connection to Beaufort County. And then the second, of course, is the question, and I will ask it again. Well, what do you see as the most important concern for local Black and or Gullah communities? And I'm going to start first with Ty Scott. Ty?
Good afternoon. Well, good evening to everyone. Taiwan Scott. I am actually here on Hilton Head. My family's from Hilton Head. I am a seventh generation Hilton Head Islander. Was actually born in New Jersey. Spent the summers here in Hilton Head as long as I can remember. Coming to spend summers here on Hilton Head. Been living here now since '97. My mom moved us out of East Orange, New Jersey to Hampton, Virginia. And like I said, been spending summers here on Hilton Head as long as I can remember. I personally was the plaintiff against the state of South Carolina in the congressional redistricting lawsuit a couple years back here now for our congressional district number 1, represented by the ACLU and also the Legal Defense Fund as well. So definitely have some experience firsthand of watching the court system because I actually got to testify in front of 3 federal judges who actually ruled that our congressional district number 1 was racially gerrymandered. And I think everybody here knows that the state of South Carolina did not like that. basically moved 30,000 plus Black folks, Gullah Geechee in particular, out of Congressional District number 1 and pushed us into Congressional District number 6.
Right.
So the state of South Carolina uh, appealed that case, that ruling, and we ended up in the U.S. Supreme Court. And as becoming the norm now, 6-3 ruling overturned that those federal judges ruling. What I feel is very important to me and the Gullah community here is land retention. Basically having and continually to be a part of the economic sustainable driver here on Hilton Head and throughout the Low Country. And more importantly, I feel a major concern is heirs property. And I feel that, you know, I see Congress dedicating the Gullah Geechee corridor in reference to us, you know, to highlight our culture and our community. But yet we have, I feel as though we have targets on our back. We can lose our generational land in a year and a day over taxes. So something is definitely wrong with that. We're that important that you name a whole corridor to us, but yet we are still losing our generational land. So these are major concerns of mine. And again, when it comes down to economic opportunities and sustainability to retain our generational land.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, I would call on Lola Campbell, and the same too. Your relationship to the area, which you certainly have a long history with the Beaufort County, and then also the same question: what do you see as the most important concern, Lola?
Good evening. Thank you, Sue. I am a sixth generation Native Islander of Hilton Head. You know, my family goes back to a slave that was brought to this island around 1820. I have been, well, I mean, I've been connected all those years, you know, went off to college and went and lived in New York City and also in Charlotte for a while, but I have been back in the area permanently since 2020. You know, I say that, you know, there was a silver lining to the cloud of COVID for me. It allowed me to actually move back home and work remotely and then start working, you know, in the community. I'm the current board chair for Historic Mitchellville Freedom Park, and have been on that board for 7 years now. And have also opened a store called Binya, which is a local Gullah and Low Country gift shop. So I've hit the ground running as I've come back into onto the island. And I am also, you know, a cousin of Ty Scott. I won't try to tell y'all how we're connected, but we know. Anyway. Um, so I'll jump to what I see as the most important concern. It really kind of follows well, relates to what Ty was talking about. Really the displacement of Gullah families on our ancestral lands here. To me, that's just a huge concern. You know, our community is really being eroded, and it's not just physically by development or the tax pressures, but also I feel culturally. You know, our history, our language, our I feel in certain groups, they're undervalued. You know, we do live in this. I think the whole Beaufort County, really, of Beaufort County is, you know, a resort-driven area, and we keep selling this place, you know, as with all the beaches, the tennis, the golf, but not, selling it as the cultural destination it is.
Mm.
Not teaching people about the true heritage and the true culture of this place. And for me, I feel that, it's commercialized at some times, but not really with true representation. So when Gullah wants to be put on the pedestal because it's popular, then, then they, people come to me or others in the community to represent it, or they don't, which is also a problem. But there's also a need for just policies to protect our land rights. We need to promote intergenerational wealth because, for instance, you can have a business, but maybe for Gullah people, we should be able to have a business on land that may not actually be zoned commercial, but we should get that right. We should have a dispensation there, because of all of the marginalized, wrongdoing that we have had to endure. Um, I also think those policies have to be acted on if policies are made, because we can write the law, but or write the policies, but then can we see some action with those policies? I think away from what I have said already to just really you know um, correct this issue is that we need things like long-term investment in the community, true respect for the culture, not just as I said, wanting to put it on the pedestal when you want to and not. And then overall inclusion, we need to be included. We need more opportunities for the businesses that we do have to thrive, and um, and and just g- giving us those opportunities before it's too late, or before the incentives are gone for whatever opportunity it may be. So I could go on and on, but I'm going to stop there on that.
Thank you, Lola. You know, land is so important. And I just recall that I visited a friend on Hilton Head just Saturday, and he's lived here for 35 years. And every single person around him, every single home was weekenders, timeshare owners, timeshare visitors, and vacationers. And I said, it's a shame you don't know your neighbors. And how can that be after living here 35 years? So I see John Glover has joined us. But I'm going to go to Margaret Johnson with the same question, and then I will call on John Glover. Margaret?
Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be here among all of you. My name is Margaret Green Johnson. I am the daughter of Annie Frazier Green of Hilton Head Island, and it's my privilege to be sitting in the site that my great-great-grandfather Caesar Jones purchased in 1887. It's truly a privilege. I'm here on Jonesville Road. I retired about 7 years ago from a career in human resources, a second career that I found when I became a citizen of Hilton Head Island and a resident 41 years ago. The concerns that I see, and I'm not speaking for the entire Gullah community as we are not, but primary to me fall under the headings of education. I think that we need to fight the continued erasure of our culture. I think it's so important for our young people and for us. I'm still learning. In these last years, since retirement, 7 years, I've learned so much about my culture that I didn't learn in schools, that I didn't take the time to research on my own. I believe that we must enforce that, just find ways to let our younger residents know, our young Black Gullah community know of the strong history that we have. And not only to them, but for people who have moved to the area of all races and cultures so that they can appreciate the contributions to the American story that have happened here. So it's going to influence our Black community so that in looking to the past and understanding it, we can have a clear direction of moving forward. So I think stopping the erasure of our culture is important. For example, on Jonesville Road, the town has recently acquired possession of property that it is my dream, vision, hope that part of that place can be dedicated to telling the story of the important things that happened on Jonesville Road, such as the funeral home, the praise house, the carpenters, the blacksmiths that helped to build this community lived on Jonesville Road. For most of Jonesville Road, those places are now inhabited by other people that don't have any idea of the history. Unfortunately, some of those people live in places that are called plantations. I hope I have an opportunity to come back to that later, but we need to stop the erasure of our culture. Secondly, I believe we need to become more actively involved. We need to be more visible in the community, and I'm speaking to myself. I wasn't active in the community for the first 35 years of my existence here. It is since retirement that I'm saying I want to be a voice. I want to be visible. I want to put myself in unfamiliar places to cause discussions to happen around important things, such as preserving our culture, such as who are the local officials that can influence parts of our lives that are important. There's a national level, yes. And then there's the local levels. There's a school board official. They're the town council people. There's the representatives, the senators, and of course the national level. But if we can just use that muscle memory to be so accustomed to being involved in the process that we're there when those opportunities come up to have our voices heard, to be at the town council meeting, to volunteer, yes, volunteer for those committee positions that have a direct influence not only in the lives of ourselves, not only for me, but for my grandchildren, my great grandchildren and nephews, that could make this a better place. Economic opportunity is the third one. We definitely need to create economic opportunities for us to have the opportunity to make up that gap, the gap that we experience of 250 years of enslavement. There's a gap to be filled there. And so it's not giving us the opportunity. It's just we need to seize the opportunity to work together and help each other move forward. Vinya, Gullah teas and teens, all of those opportunities that this new generation is bringing, we must support them in all that they're doing. Brother Ty Scott, and Ty, I'm going to call. I had a conversation with Ty before tonight. I said, Ty, I need you to educate me, talk to me. So we need to find out truth from one another and just be so eager to share that with one another. Education on all those levels, self-education, preserving our culture, passing it on to our young people, economic opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing more of your pearls of wisdom. Next, we have John Glover. And John, you came on late, so I just wanted to tell you what we are doing. There are two questions. One is tell us a little bit about yourself and where you live and your connection to the community. Then secondly, what do you see as the most important concern for local Black and or Gullah communities? And we're asking the panelists to give us 2 to 3 minutes. John, unmute yourself, please. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. My name is John Glover, and I was born here on St. Helena Island, uh, seventh generation. Got the hell out of here when I was graduated from high school. Went in the Air Force, spent 8 years in the Air Force, got out, and spent the rest of my, up until 15 years ago in California. I sort of came back to take care of my mother until she passed away, and decided to stay. Have been involved in the Democratic Party in all level, Beaufort County, um, north of the border. So it's since I came back, one thing that I noticed is that I like to see more young African American involved in the Democratic Party, because when I go to these meetings, a lot of time there's only about a handful of us there, 4 or 5 of us, and we need to get more involved. And when I talk to Black folks about getting involved, they claim that it's not for them and
Mm.
doesn't really matter to them. Um, it's not for them. And so my thing of it is I tell them, hey, it is for you. You
Okay.
just don't realize. You know, you got to go and vote. And I've been trying to get people, especially here on the island, to vote, people in Beaufort County to vote. And everywhere I go, I mention voting, because I feel voting is a very, 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 very important task for each individual. So I don't know. I my 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
Okay. John neglected to say that he is the first vice chair for the Beaufort County Democratic Party. He has stepped up to the plate repeatedly to assist Kathleen and the party and the entire county. So thank you, John. Next is
You're quite
Marquis
welcome.
Farrell. Same question, same 2 questions. You want to unmute yourself? Yes. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Marky Farrell. I am what 5 generations from St. Helena Island. With the short stint in the Navy, I've been here all of 30 years now. I'm 42 years old, and I've been involved in local politics since I was 16. Um, One of the big things that we have been trying to do is, like Mr. Glover said, reach out to younger voters and get them involved. Um, when you talk about how do you bring stakeholders back to Beaufort County, you know, these are our children who go off to college, go off to the military. You want them to go and experience the world and bring back new ideas and innovations, but you want them to come back. So how do you do that? First thing, you have to have accessibility to resources. That is going to be the biggest thing that attracts people back. The retention of the land. We have to have something for them to come back to. If you don't have that, that's the anchor. That's what's going to hold everything down. That's what keeps us here. That's what brings them back. That's what our dog in the fight is. When you talk about coming up with things for our children to do and creating safe and effective growth that's going to not only encourage retention of Gullah Geechee lands and properties, but also how do we make sure that there's stuff that's going to, you know, invite young professionals back. We want you to come back. We want to grow responsibly, but we don't want to become over commercialized. One of the big things that we're working on St. Helena is protect St. Helena. And you keep hearing, don't turn St. Helena into Hilton Head.
Mm.
The reason why we're saying that is that not that we're against growth, but we're for responsible growth. We want the rural nature and culture that has allowed the Gullah Geechee culture to survive to carry on to the next generation and beyond. When you go into planning, I was a Beaufort County Planning Commissioner for 4 years also. So when you come up with, like you said, Ms. Margaret, you were talking about, coming up with innovative ways and laws that will protect. And so the CPO, you have the zoning ordinance, those were all crafted to do a lot of those things. Now, unfortunately, it happened too late to protect properties on Hilton Head, but north of the Broad, it does a good job. And we have to utilize it. Something that Lola said, I wrote down, was that, you know, with land use, again, those are things that we can do to say, hey, we want to utilize these type businesses on our family owned land. And I think that that's one of the big things that on St. Helena is done. Um, the last thing that I would say is that we have to encourage people to vote. If you are not voting, you have lost all of your political power, and political power is where you gain everything else. That is where you gain financial power. That is where you gain the ability to speak out against wrongs. With everything disappearing and access disappearing, if we do not win elections, then we do not have a way to redress our grievances. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, Marquis, thank you very much. Next, we have Sharon Sherman. Sharon, you want to unmute yourself, please?
Good evening, all, and thank you for the invite. My name is Sharon Sherman, fourth generation. No, I've only been here 4 years. In those 4 years, well, I mean, my mom is a native. My mother is a native. So I was actually coming here since I was young. Uh, Grew up where they were still using slop jars and stuff. So I knew the rural areas as well, as it is present. Um, Being Gullah, being Black, and coming into Hilton Head, I'm honored. I am so privileged to be here and to be involved. It is a lot going on, and I've seen it, and I'm just excited that someone with fresh eyes is coming in to see certain things that you try to put on matured eyes, if I'm making sense with that. Um, I did write some stuff down. I'm just going to say my concerns about the community is the land retention, the cultural preservation. And because of that is how being here and seeing what they were doing with my mother's land or trying to do with Miss Wright's land, and you just keep seeing it. And you just try to keep fighting for it and fighting for it. And the thing that I see about it is that we were honored as Black and Gullah to have land, to have properties, and how it's been stripped. Coming in with fresh eyes, you see a lot of development happening where I used to come back and visit, and you see changes. Every time I come, I see a change. And it took this long for people to start stepping up and saying, hey, we've had enough. Enough is enough. So my concerns is losing property, history, heritage, and identity, protecting land ownership, education, legal tools, trust, wills, advocating for fair policies. A lot of this, I just want more and more information of how to help, how to keep staying involved and not come here and go to sleep. So how do we reach out to them as well to get that help? Is a big concern of mine. It's not just the young, it's the matured as well. How do we educate them to keep people involved? Don't turn your head when someone comes up with a question and you're looking at, well, you haven't been here long enough.
Hmm.
And I'm saying that because I'm speaking from my own truth of what happened with me. Someone can come tomorrow and might still know something a little bit more than I do, and I'm a listen. So with that, that was a big concern for me, in how to keep being educated on how to keep growth, property, just listening to people means a lot. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sharon.
You're
Next,
welcome.
I'm going to go to Charles Henderson. Charles, it's two questions. One, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what connects you to the Beaufort County. The second one is, what do you see as the most important concern for Blacks and or Gullah? And we're asking people to stay to 2 minutes to the extent that we can. Thank you, Charles. And you've got to mute yourself.
So you were talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, everybody in the listening audience. I'm Charles Henderson, and I have been in Beaufort County for 71 years. I'm a former educator, Air Force officer, um, veteran affairs. So I've seen a gamut of a lot of people that have been in Beaufort and have left Beaufort and have come back. My concern when I first came home was when people's property used to go up for sheriff sale, and it wasn't proportionate to what was owed on the land. Let's say a person may have 5 acres of land and he may owe maybe $250, and that land was lost because they didn't pay the $250. Those are the kind of things that I see. And also, too, there are young folks that are just leaving Beaufort and just leaving property. And what has happened in the past, and it continues to happen, is that people don't put things in place. And what I mean by that, they don't establish their property, uh, uh, and they leave it up to the heirs to settle their differences. And that's how a lot of people lost their land, because one person may be paying the taxes, or a sibling may be paying taxes on land for all umpteen years, but nobody wants that person to have that property, or they don't want them to sell the property. And so it becomes heirs' property. We need to structure ourselves as a community better with entities that are out there to help you protect and preserve your properties. Another thing that I found out by living here is that during voting season, everybody thinks that the presidential election is a say all, do all, and it's not. It's midterm. Midterms, we don't get involved. And we need to get involved. We need to push people out there. We need to grab people and say, hey, you need to vote at this time. This is when we make changes. And so when we don't do that, and then there are policies put in place against you, well, these are the same politicians that's been in place for years and years and years that's going to do things their way, and we haven't made a change. So we have to start with us. We have to start educating ourselves, having groups like this, not only just talking about things, but implementing things. If you know something that's going to help somebody, reach out to them and help them. We can form a coalition with what we have right now, so we can educate people, put things in their proper perspectives. And I have a big mouth. I'm a person who provides good trouble for people. I've represented people at court incidents and beat lawyers because I did the research and was able to talk on that level. We need to do that as a group, as a body. Okay.
Thank you.
So I have a big mouth. So
Thank you, Charles.
you're
So
welcome. Yeah.
representing Sheldon is Linda Beck. Linda, you want to unmute yourself, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Patrice Beck. I'm a proud Black American woman, a daughter of Buford roots, and a small business owner here in South Carolina. I come from a strong line of women. My mother is the matriarch of 5 living generations here in Dale. That's where we reside at. Um, His strength, wisdom, and legacy inspires everything that I do toward my life here in South Carolina, which I've been here 14 years now. And it's been an amazing journey as far as the knowledge. I was born and raised in Boston, but as I said, my roots are here through my grandmother, my grandparents. And I'm just astounded at the legacy of this county, of South Carolina. And I'm more astounded about how it just seems to be getting away from us as Black people and Gullah people. It's heart-rending at times. It's troublesome a lot. And I keep wondering, what can we do to make this not happen? How do we get young people involved? Because that's the bottom line. Young people have to be involved and run for offices and get in offices to make any changes. Because if we don't have young people in office making changes, then we're defeating the purpose. I mean, because we can talk about this all day long. If we don't have representation in those young people, then what are we doing? Where are we going? We can't move forward. And my thing is that what can we do to get them involved besides teaching them, besides giving them the history, besides, and like someone said, I think it might have been you, Marquis, who said as far as having positions available to them for them to come back into this community, come back in here. Beaufort County, I mean, the pay grade here is so unbelievable, degrading, that it's like, really, why would you come back here after you've gone to school? And that has to change. And that means that legislations have to change. That means that we have to vote. We have to get young people to vote. We have to get middle-aged people to vote who are not registered and who act like it doesn't matter, because it does matter. And I was very, very active in the Democratic Party with Kamala Harris. And I was here in Sheldon up and down these roads all day long, every day long, talking to people, calling people on the phone. And I was so very excited about the fact of us winning, but I was also concerned about the fact of people not registering to vote. Like it was a death sentence for them to register to vote. So my thing is that I want us to some kind of way, and I don't know what that is, to get people involved, more younger people involved to make a change.
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. The second question is something that's close to me. And some of you may have answered that. If we ask a question and you feel that you've already answered it, just say pass. And that will allow us to get through and hear what everyone has to say. But this has to do with the kitchen table discussions. We've talked about, in a broad sense, about what are the concerns. But now let's talk about how it impacts you in your household, in your family. So what is the most important issue to you, your family, and your household? And I'm going to start with Lola Campbell.
Okay. Well, when I read this question, thinking about family, I think the biggest issue is, or the thing that comes to mind for me is the legacy, right? And just the what I like to say, the conservation of our community versus the preservation of it. Meaning let's sustain the community, let's make sure it continues to thrive. Um, and how that impacts my 12-year-old son who is a Benya, but wasn't born here, but still he's he's growing up in a time, to me, like sometimes I'm a little jealous because actually he is learning about things that I didn't know about when I was growing up, like Mitchellville. I'm like, wow, he gets to know what that is, from the start. But, you know, for the next generation, in order for conservation of this community, we really have to look at the systems that are in place. We have to have systems that allow us to really thrive to the future. And that means like education that actually helps our kids affirm their identity and not thwart it, or be ashamed of it, or just not know about who they are. Because I like to say, like, you cannot go forward without knowing where you came from, or at least I don't think you can move forward successfully if you don't know who you are and where you came from. So, I mean, I won't say that this is something that has touched me personally and my family, but I thought it was important enough because I know enough families that it does. It does affect is healthcare and childcare, here in really all over this country, but we're in South Carolina, it's probably one of
I
the
need
worst
to replace it.
places. So, when we talk about, is specifically like our Black maternal health care, we have more Black women dying than white women. It's like 72 of 100,000 versus 37 of 100,000 due to, childbirth. So just things like that, then we have in the state house them voting on, things that don't help our women's health. It makes it worse. So when I think about like all of it from the top down, that affects our children too. It affects how they're going to grow here, what they're going to know about. Just looking because I want to make sure I touch on what I've written down. But we talked about economic opportunities, but like it's got to be equitable, not just give us opportunities, but it needs to be equitable. So these are things like as a business owner that affects me. So at the end of the day, I just think we have, in order to really build a future that where our community is going to be able to continue to thrive, sustain, grow, we have to really look at some of these systemic issues that go outside of Beaufort County, to tell the truth. But we have to start right here in our county and at our state level.
Okay. Lola, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Back to Charles Henderson. And again, we're asked to keep your remarks to 2 minutes, if possible.
Might need a
Charles, same question. I will repeat it if you want me to. What is important issues to you personally that affect you and your family and your household? Unmute yourself, please.
Hey, hello again, everybody, to the listening audience. What is important to me is, like Lola said, is a legacy, family legacy. I think that is important. Family has always been important to me. I want to leave something and I'm a firm believer in what I read in the Bible one time. Leave something for your children's children. And that's what is important to me. So being an educator, I constantly teach, whether it be in a senior adult, my peers, or little kids. I'm constantly teaching that this is our core group. This is what should be important to all of us. Because when we lose this, we can't get it back. So that's where I think our focus should be. And again, my mantra is we need to help each other. If we can do that, I think we'll be okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're
John?
welcome.
John Glover, same question, please.
One of the things that since I've been back um, to South Carolina, and I missed a lot of is there's no activity here on this island for young kids to go to. There's no movies. I mean, if I want to go to a movie, I got to go to Bluffton. Um, there's no place that young kids can go and enjoy themselves. So that's one of the reasons why I got the hell out of South Carolina initially when I graduated from high school in 1960. Um, but since coming back, I still haven't seen any development for young people. And I expect young people to stay here when they don't have no activities whatsoever to go to or do their thing with. Um, so as a since I've been back here, one of the things that I recognize is that, and I'm trying to get at least something here on the island for young kids to, when they get out of school or Christmas, or when they get out of school or they have a school break, that they have somewhere they can go to, a recreation center or something that they go to and enjoy themselves. I'm, like I said, I lived out in California for 47 years and I enjoy racquetball. And hell, they don't have no racquetball club around here whatsoever. They don't have nothing really. So my thing of it is I'm trying to get uh, some type of recreational sports there to for young kids. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, John. You know, I grew up roller skating, and I cannot believe that there's not a roller, not that I can do it now, but I can't believe that there's not a roller skating ring anywhere around for these kids. Margaret, same question, please. Would you unmute? Thank you.
I did. Let me ask first, in the space that I'm in, I have an air conditioner going. Is it interfering with your hearing me?
No.
Are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
So from a personal perspective, my husband and I are both retired, and I'm very concerned about the impact of Medicare and what could happen at the federal level. We are right now able to live comfortably. We live very simply, and I'd like to make sure that that is going to happen. So that's one item. The second item is to be able to retain this place that we now live on, not only for us, because our years are limited, but for our children and our grandchildren. And I would like them to know why it's important. So I come back to education. I think it's important to us in this generation to educate as much as we can in words, by the way we live, by the values that we support, and show our young children, our young people that are on this call. It's not entirely on them. It's on us to join hands with them to help to provide, sustain, and promote those economic opportunities. So that is very important. My work with the Boys and Girls Club, both on Hilton Head and Bluffton, makes me so aware of the educational system and how important it is to reach out to our young ones, not only in terms of cultural preservation, but reading, arithmetic, the basics. So that becomes a part of their everyday exercises so they can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Marquis, same question.
Yeah, so a lot of what everyone else has been saying, me and my family, we still have children in school. So like Lola said, worrying about childcare, worrying about healthcare, but specifically when you talk about healthcare, access to healthcare, when you talk about mental health, it's virtually non-existent or it's not accessible in a reasonable way. When you talk about specialty care, if you have someone who needs endocrinology or something like that. There's no reason with the amount of the aging population that we have in Beaufort County that we don't have these specialty care providers here in the area, and we're not doing anything to attract them. When you talk about things to do, again, like Mr. Glover said, there is virtually nothing to do in Northern Beaufort County. That is why I feel that sex and drugs are recreational in Beaufort County to the extent that they are. Because if you don't have, my grandparents used to say, that if you aren't busy, that's when the devil gonna get you. And I feel that that's exactly what's going on in our community. When you talk about safety, another big issue for, I have a 17-year-old, I have a 14-year-old. My 17-year-old, he does everything that we ask him to do, but I worry that it's going to be that other kid that does something that is out of the norm, or it's just something random happening. And because he's traveling so far from us, because he's in Bluffton, because he's in Savannah, because he's in Ridgeland, because he's over here, he's over there, looking for things to do, that he's going to get caught up in something that is either going to ruin his life, take his life, or going to set him up to have hardships. You know, we have to talk about these things because, again, that goes back into attracting stakeholders back to Beaufort County and keeping them here. If you're trying to raise a family or you're trying to start a family, you want to know that they're going to be safe, that you're going to have economic means to provide for them, that you're going to have the ability to care for them if they need hospital or any kind of medical treatment. The last thing is that we have to talk about PALS. PALS is not, and in fact, excuse me, not PALS. It's was it now? They changed the name, but one band, one sound is not a policy. One
Mamacita.
band, one band, one sound is not a policy. One band, one sound is you saying that you don't care about what everyone has to say. You only care about those who you feel have money or influence, and that's not right.
Thank you very much, Marquis. Next is Sharon Sherman. Sharon, in her introduction, neglected to say that she is the president of the NAACP. And so certainly we all need to get our support around Sharon and the work that she is doing.
Mommy,
Sharon,
Daddy was just on the same.
that same question?
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, just to speak on briefly, as I said earlier about listening a lot of times to the younger generation. Um, it's not just happening here because I'm actually from Philadelphia, and I raised my daughter, and not only my daughter, but I think more like 10 of them, which were her friends. And I feel blessed that I can say how they all went off to college, raising their families. And so when things were happening outside, sometimes as a parent, you have to bring them to you to keep them busy, keep them excited, keep them educated. And I hear y'all saying what's not available, but some things you have to make it available, maybe in your own home. If it's movie night, have movie night, have it whatever. We did paint with a twist. We'll do game night. You have to find something to keep them busy, even with reading while they were in school. I had friends that were educators that would come in and could talk Black history. And this is something that, like I said, when you listen to some things or ideas, maybe there's other ways to work out those ideas until instead of always dependent on someone to build it for you. You have to sometimes internally build it for yourself.
Thank you.
I was going to pass, but I had to say that.
Oh, we appreciate it. I'm glad to hear it.
All right.
Okay. Linda?
Uh, okay. Well, the most important issues for our family is my family, like many, in the Gullah Black communities, are just trying to stay rooted. The biggest issues are affordable housing, as we've all been saying, access to quality health care, and education that reflects our culture and prepares our kids for the future. Like I said, my family are 5 generations strong and still here, still holding on, but we need support to keep going, like most of us do. We don't want to just to survive, we want to thrive. And that means making sure our elders are cared for, our children are safe, and our families aren't priced out of land. That's part of our story.
Very good. Appreciate that. Thank you. Ty?
Yes, well, I guess some of the things that I make as a priority when it comes down to discussing with my kids is every year, remember during Thanksgiving time, it's tax season. That's number one. No matter where you are in the world, remember Thanksgiving time, you need to pay those taxes. Because again, to be able to lose your ancestral land in a year and a day, something is wrong with that. And I think that's a policy that's something that needs to be addressed from the State House down. I mean, that's a serious issue. That's a serious problem that I see. Education, education, education. I have to say that and continue saying that on all levels, especially on the local level. There's policies that are enacted that will control what you can and can't do with your ancestral lands. We have people that say there's too much of this or too much of that or too little of this or too little of that, when that opportunity is being stripped away from us as land owners. So being engaged on a regular, those meetings, those town council meetings, these happen, when people are at work. Those decisions that are being made are being made by people who live in the quote unquote plantation, who don't know what's happening outside the plantation. All they want to do is control what we have. So we have to be bold. We have to elect people who will be bold and challenge the system. I mean, and that's pretty much where it is now. I mean, we can't rubber stamp anything. We have to challenge on every level. I mean, personally, it took me 7 years to get a business open on my property. Something is wrong with that. We talk about the Gullahs being so important. There's a saying, they love the culture, but not the people. So anything that they can use to bring more tourists into this area is great. But why isn't, when it comes down to the opportunity for us to be a part of it, why the obstacles come up? So I commend Lola for the Ben year. I commend other entrepreneurs now. The doors are open. There's opportunities there now for us, but we just got to challenge the system. And we got to be more and more persistent with doing something with our land. It should not come down to a for sale sign on it. And that's coming from someone who is a licensed real estate agent. It should not come down to for sale signs on our property. We should be educated into land development, how we can continue retaining our land ownership. I mean, that's what our ancestors did. I mean, they weren't thinking about today when they got land. This is basically keep it for the next generations to come. I mean, that's what escalated the heirs property for not having taxes, because we lived on communal land. I mean, and that same system has been used against us. They use that same communal land a concept to force us into court, because they start dividing us and picking us off. So it really comes down to educating and having bold electives that can challenge the system. And again, I still go back to land ownership and changing the system where we're losing our land in a year and a day. There's definitely something wrong with that.
Thank you. So now we're going to the next question. And this is going to be an interesting one. I would ask you, though, in the interest of time, to think about maybe one or two or three items. It's what qualities do you want to see in a candidate and or elected representative? What qualities do you want to see in a candidate and or elected representative? Come up with two or three of your top qualities that you would like to see. And I'm going to start with Lola.
Yes. So I think that we really need a leader who understands differences, who isn't afraid to speak the truth when utilizing his or her power and where they are, and one who's really committed to policies that actually uplift the community and the people, their constituents, rather than extract from the historically marginalized communities like ours. So basically, representation without responsibility, I say, is meaningless, So, represent us, but represent us well and understand who we are and what our issues are. And don't come around just when it's time to be elected.
The truth. Yes, thank you. John Glover, unmute, please. John, yeah, thank you.
I got you.
Thank you, babe.
Yeah, I'd like to see representatives that's going to represent all the people, not some of the people, but all the people, and to get around and meet them, talk to them, find out what they need, find out what their needs are. It's important that you go out and meet the folks that are voting for you if you want them to vote. So that's that's what I like to see in a representative. I mean, I want them to represent me and my neighbors, whoever they may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Margaret Johnson.
Thank you. I think the three most important qualities are in this order: integrity. I'd like to see a leader sound values that are in congruence with the values of my people that go way back through today. So I think integrity is important. And then that person of integrity must have, in my opinion, a vision that looks in the past to see what we need to bring forward in whatever form so that we can clearly move forward. So they need to be a visionary. I believe the person needs to get out of the here and now in this relatively small space that we occupy and seek ideas, opportunities. Let's bring information in to bear here, even from among our own population. And finally, I think the person needs to be able to build consensus. Back in the 50s, I think in Hilton Head, we were about 85% of the population. Today, the Black and Gullah community is probably 6 or 7%. In order to achieve the goals that we've all articulated here, we've got to build consensus. We've got to find allies that have the same integrity and values that we do. And if not, encourage them, give them incentive to act like they do. So that we need to be able to be collaborative, building consensus in order to move forward. I'm not saying compromise our values. We need to be able to communicate those values and to find people that share them and build consensus moving forward, and the whole community benefits from there.
Thank you. Thank you. Marquis, same question.
I'm looking for someone, I'm a Navy guy, so I'm looking for someone with honor, courage, and commitment. Honor,
Wait, would you
meaning
repeat
that
that? I couldn't hear you.
I'm looking for someone who has honor, courage, and commitment. Honor, meaning that they are going to do the right thing because it's the right thing. They're going to speak truth to power. They're going to make sure that they have the integrity to not only carry truth, but to act on truth. Courage, meaning that they are not afraid of repercussions such as being pushed out of office or being not being able to have a 20-year run in the office, but getting things done because that's what the community needs and demands of them. Um, commitment. Commitment means follow through, not only going and saying, I'm for this and I'm for that, but actually legislating, coming up with laws and policies that will directly affect the positively the community that they represent, and coming back and reporting on those policies and what's going on and explaining it in a way that people who can, excuse me, a way that common people can understand. Um, and lastly, I would like to see someone who is not afraid to say, I don't know, and willing to listen.
Thank you very much. Lola put something to everyone. I just want to mention it. She said, added the word
Accountability.
accountability. So I wanted to share that in case people did not see it. Okay, Sharon Sherman, you're muted.
I am unmuted and I'm going to say pass on that one,
Okay,
if that's okay.
that's quite all right.
Thank
Linda,
you.
would you unmute, please? You're muted.
Okay. I want to see someone who respects the Gullah culture, understands Black history, and works closely with our communities, not just around us. A good representative to me should be accessible, consistent, and courageous. Someone who shows up in our neighborhoods when there's no cameras rolling, someone who listens, like really listens and fights for us in the rooms where decisions are made. Most of all, I want someone who sees our people as valuable, not invisible.
Thank you, Linda. Ty?
Yes, I think I mentioned bold, bold, bold. Someone who's going to go out and challenge the system. Speak up, speak out. I think I'm gonna mention another saying, we're people with problems, not problem people. So we have to get things done. We have to have a candidate, we have to have a representative that's not going to support racially gerrymandered maps. And call it like you see it, not just to be able to have the power over a certain group of people to be able to control what they do. That's what we need. It's necessary, it's overdue, and if we're not challenging, we're losing. And sadly, the system that we're in, the atmosphere that we're in right now, we have to be bold. There's no other way but to challenge everything as much as we can. Throw it on the wall and see what sticks. Simple as that. We have to be out there. We have to be engaging. We have to have our boots on the ground. Simple as that. You got to be able to connect with the people.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Is Charles Henderson still on? I don't see him. Okay. We're going to go to, I think, what's going to be our last question. We are right on time, as a matter of fact, and this is a good one. What is your greatest hope for the future of Beaufort County? What is your greatest hope for the future of Beaufort County? And I'm going to start with our first vice chair of the Beaufort County Democratic Party, John Glover. John, would you please unmute yourself?
That's a very interesting question. I would like to see, like I said, I lived out on the West Coast for many years. And one thing that I got to notice out there was the fact that although there are racism out there, just like it is here, um, but it's slowly but surely taking a backseat per se. So it's not outright racism. And one of the things that I noticed since I came back to Beaufort It's not as bad as it was when I left in the 50s or the early 60s, but and it's getting better. I have to admit that, um, but it's not there yet. And we need. I like to see where um, I walk down the street or I walk in the store and I says good evening, and someone says good evening or good morning or whatever, and don't bypass me like I don't exist. And one of the things that I recognize here since I've been back is you walk along and you say hi to someone and they walk by you like you don't even exist. And I do exist and I do take it personal, but I don't take it personal. But I do take it personal if you understand what I'm talking about. So that's about it. I like to see where it recognize me as a human. That's all
Thank
I
you.
want you to do.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Margaret, would you unmute, please?
I think that the future of Beaufort County is very dependent on our voters having the qualities that I talked about: integrity, perseverance, character, and being visionaries, so that laws may be enacted to require people to behave in a certain way. And sometimes that's what it comes down to. So I believe the voters, we are very much in charge of the future of Beaufort County. For example, Brother Ty has worked adamantly to reverse the gerrymandering law that was passed that has directly impacted us in our ability to be heard. What can we do? What must we do to be ready when that vote comes up, or to cause it to come up so that can be reversed? Another item is the South Carolina hate crime bill. We are one of only 2 or 3 states that do not have a hate crime bill. Yet there is the ability for a local community to have a hate crime bill. Do we have one on Hilton Head? Do we have one on Beaufort County? We certainly have the ability to do it. So those are just 2 examples of how we can, as voters, register and then vote, enact it, cause our representatives to take action on these items, such as the items mentioned. So I believe the future of Beaufort County is in the hands of our voters, and those voters to the poll, and listening and hearing the concerns and how can it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Marquis, same question. What is your greatest hope for the future of Beaufort County?
I hope that Beaufort County becomes a welcoming place that is affordable, safe, prosperous for all, and a community of understanding, love, culture, and of I can't even read my own writing. And a place where children learn and grow old, happy. I don't know, but
Okay, thank you, Marquis. Thank you very much. Sharon?
Thank you. Won't pass on that one. Beaufort County. Hmm. Well, my greatest hope would be to say it with a smile on your face. I'm from Beaufort County, and people respect it because of where you're saying you're from. Yes, Mr. Glover. I miss that, saying you can say hi to anybody. You can sit on the side of the road and wave all day long. All of that is gone from here, but I still do it anyway. I don't care. If it takes one to bring it back, somebody else will pick up and start doing it too. Um, the other thing is there are still laws that I don't want. Okay, we can't get too heavy into the law thing because that could take forever. But that is my biggest hope, is to say it with a smile. And there was a comedian that said, say it with your chest out. You know what I mean? Just Beaufort County is so close to being beautiful, and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Linda? Linda? You're muted.
Jennifer to unmute. Okay. My hope for Beaufort County is that we move toward fairness, fair maps, fair access, fair opportunities. I want our young people to know your vote matters, your voice matters, your future matters. You know, we've come too far to be silent now, so I'm not done speaking up. I got a whole bunch to say, and I'm like, Marquis, was it Marquis? I got a big mouth too.
Very good. Ty?
Yes, I love my Gullah people. So, you know, the culture is thriving. That's what I see for Beaufort County future. Gullah businesses are thriving. Our presence is still here. That's my hope. And as far as if I have anything to do with it, I'll continue to be an advocate for that.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I don't see Mr. Henderson. Lola? You're
Yes.
muted.
Yeah. So I think I'd love to see Beaufort County be a model for just inclusivity, period. And I think that kind of, you know, might cover a lot of things that were said here. But when you think about the future, I guess I go back to our children. So, you know, I really would love to see a future where our Black slash Gullah children are able to see themselves as leaders, as business owners, you know, as that they see themselves reflected in the art world, just everywhere, so that we have, so that they don't grow up and think that they have to leave. And that was a big theme here tonight too. So you know, I want them to feel included, because they're really going to be our future leaders, and they are going to make Beaufort County, you know, what we want Beaufort County to be. So we really have to educate and instill in them confidence that, you know, they can be here and continue to go, and that they can be leaders and they can be whatever they want to, essentially, in a
Thank
nutshell.
you. Um,
Thanks.
no one's asked me a question, but I wanted to respond to this one as well. One of the things that's concerned me about Beaufort County is affordable housing, that our young people cannot afford to live in this county. They're priced out of everything. The land is gone. Rent is so high that many people cannot live where they work. And that is really concerning to me. I looked in the chat line. I didn't see any questions. The comments have all been on the screen. So that concludes our question session, unless there's someone who has something that they would like to share before I turn it over to our chair. Okay. You're all quiet. I want to thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. I look forward to getting together and getting to know each of you better. Some of you I know, some better than others. And I would like to get to know more and find out more of work that you're doing. And with that, I will turn it over to Kathleen Hughes.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight. Each of our listening sessions has been just informative and inspiring, and this is yet another experience like that. I guess not surprisingly, but it's very interesting to me to see our various communities. We have our differences, but we have so many commonalities. And what I'm really seeing across the board here is one of the commonalities that unites us is healthcare, being able to care for our own health, our children's health, and our elders oftentimes as caregivers. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. We do have a few more listening sessions coming up. I'm going to put that in the chat. Business owners listening session is coming up, young voters and veteran voters. So we still have a few more quality sessions to come as we hide out in our air conditioning and do our good work on Zoom. So with that, if anybody else has any comments from our panel, Otherwise, I think that we've done really great work here tonight, and thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.